Okay, so yeah, I mean, what were we talking about? Why we like to come out here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could start just talking about like what Ventrax is doing, what we're trying to do, why we're creating these tutorials, and who we are in a sense as well. Like, I guess it kind of all goes back to Toby not knowing how to use his Apex styles properly.
I've always known how to use Apex properly.
No, it's actually James Fisher, and he's not here to own up to it. It's watching. It was when we were first getting into off-roading. There's a few of us who've been actually driving for a while, and there was kind of basic stuff that a few of us didn't understand.
But also, I think a big part of it was the group we were off-roading with in the beginning, because everyone was at such a different skill level.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was difficult to assess where are you at, what do you know, what don't you know, and that's kind of where the idea came from of, okay, here's basically a step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
As if you're starting out, you've just bought your 4x4.
Because we had James, joining us because he had the Suzuki for a while, the black one first. It was like, oh, he knows how to off-road, it's fine when he got the new car.
And just left him.
And we just left him be.
Yeah.
We took him out in the desert and he kept up, but I mean, the poor guy was struggling a bit. And actually, then we took some time and we stepped back a bit and showed him how to use the deflator properly to get down to the right level for his tyres. Because especially on those Jimneys, I mean, they're really small, thin tyres.
Yeah.
But also, it's back to basics, like even just radio etiquette.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you cannot give the correct information over the radio, it makes it tough for the guy
And also,
behind you.
we're learning ourselves as well, even with things like radio etiquette.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
if you can drive in the desert, you might have someone that's been driving in the desert for 20 years, but if every time he uses a radio, he's sat there with his finger on the button for the entire drive, there's still something that everyone can learn from
it's hard as well because you're out with your mates and you're trying to have fun and like it's a bit of fun. You got the music up loud and you want to play the song to your mate, but then
There's a fine line.
4 cars back, Toby's stuck in the sand, or I'm stuck in the sand, or something.
Some idiot's playing Sandstorm by
second try.
You got Ruben playing his country music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that, I mean, I guess that's kind of where we then kind of got the idea for the Ventrax reels and just teaching people the basics of how to put the FJ Cruiser in 4x4, how to put the Pajero in 4x4, and
how to not get stuck with a Jeep.
Yeah.
I haven't had to try that yet, so, we're good.
No. We definitely didn't get stuck that night with Liam, no.
No, we didn't. No. We didn't get stuck for 2 hours, the FJ and the Jeep together.
No.
They didn't snap a winch either.
No. That's the winch's fault.
No.
But that's a cool thing
that's
to
the
actually bring
FJ
up
driver
now.
that
It's
didn't deflate
never the tool, always the fool.
No, but that's a cool thing to bring up right now as well, though. So you snapped the top of your winch, right?
Yeah, it's the casing. So it was the actual casing is not welded. It's what do they call it? With the cast metal.
Yeah,
it's cast metal has been
casted,
with, and it just snapped in half. Each corner, the pinch points just snapped because we don't really know why. The guess to it is that
made the same sound, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I don't even think it made a sound. I'm pretty sure
Just
there
went.
was just like a small
nothing.
snap.
We're like, why isn't it pulling properly?
Yeah,
like,
it was just
and
whirring
then
away.
Immediately in my head, I was like, it's not pulling properly. Something's not right. Let's just go and check the front of his car first.
Yeah.
And I mean, lucky we did because we could have actually screwed your winch up even more. And realised that actually the whole frame, the whole top of it had twisted. So the front left was like twisted left, and the other side was kind of twisted just to the right. And the
this is again where Declan didn't deflate. Yeah?
He didn't deflate. Yeah, that's why we're in that situation. I'd have a working winch right now if he didn't deflate it.
But what makes your winch?
Smittyville. Oh yeah, this is great. So I did tell you, didn't I? Right. So literally just sent an email to Smittyville, and I wasn't kind of being arsey with them or anything. I just sent them an email saying, "Hi, I've snapped the winch casing. Could you give me advice as to what I might have done wrong? Was it something to do with the install? Like, I wasn't blaming Smittyville for the product whatsoever. It was a really good email just to say, please tell me what I've done wrong so I don't do it again.
Yeah.
Sent me a new winch casing straight away.
And
nice.
A couple of days as well.
Didn't pay for it. A couple of days.
Free of charge, yeah?
Free of charge,
Yeah, awesome.
Especially shipping to the UAE because it's not that easy to get stuff shipped to.
They shipped out of Australia or the US?
US, I think this is.
US, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's a really cool thing. But I mean, I'm never going to learn my mistake. I drive an FJ Cruiser, so I don't need to deflate, so it's fine.
Famous last words.
You know, we should do a compilation video. Every time Dad gets stuck, I've probably got a video from every time he's got stuck and just be like, don't be like this guy. Deflate your tyres.
Just going into the desert for an hour and a half. 3 hours later.
When you're driving 5 minutes up there, it's not even that deserty.
And the problem is I don't have a problem with deflating. My compressor currently takes 30 minutes to inflate.
Yeah, but you have two mates with compressors that can help you.
You're never going to help me. You're going to stand there and be like, oh, look at your slow compressor. Just going to be mean with me all the time.
Until you buy a new one.
But I mean,
Toby's the posh one. He's got the ARB,
yeah,
the full one.
so I'm looking.
So-
I think I'm going to try and go the ARB next with the dual piston. Ruben has it. There's space in the side of the door of the FJ that you can install it in and it still be hidden away like what I've currently got at the moment. Because, I mean, I've got enough gadgets. The compressor doesn't need to be added to the outside of the car. If not, I'm going to get the molly panel on the right side window, and it can just be mounted in the window there.
Yeah, okay. Onto the molly panel.
Just onto
and
the
just
molly
put it
panel.
down there on the window and then...
And then it's,
Are you going to mount yours anywhere, even? Or are you just going to keep it freewheeling?
At the moment, the Pajero is so small. I mean, I don't have a lot of space.
But
I have been thinking to remove...
Thinking to upgrade as well, though, no?
Give or take. I have been thinking to remove. So the back seats of the Pajero, you have 3 seats, but the one flips down and 2 stays. So I'm actually thinking of removing the single seat completely out.
Yeah.
Having a little, like a drawer set almost.
Yeah.
Or having that as my off-road kind of corner.
Yeah.
Where I can mount everything there and just run everything from there. So I'm toying around with a couple ideas. I'm not sure yet which way I'm going to go. But
I mean, so let's kind of keep to point of why we started kind of creating the videos as well. And I think part of it as well is to try and bring a bit of a community together, because I think we noticed as well with some of the groups, there's a bit of a divide.
The problem with the community is that they're very car specific.
Yes.
You have a Jeep community,
Yes.
you have an FJ community, you have a Pajero, a Jimny. There's no, there are off-road companies, and there's off-road, like I say companies actually quite explicitly, because there's a lot of people out there, I don't want to say taking advantage of it, but trying to make a business out of people that don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
And there's not really that kind of friend group feel to a community where anyone can come.
But there are some kind of great people out there that do teach you to off-road.
Yes.
So if you are looking for those sorts of things, and just do your research. Like, it's easy to find.
yeah, I mean, let us know. If you let us know in the comments, let us know, and we can list a couple of the big 4x4 groups which you can join.
And I mean, we're still open to learning as well. I'm sure there's recommendations.
100%.
Oh my God, we've got so much to learn.
And I mean, I never joined a group to learn anything. I went out with a couple of mates who'd been off-roading for a long time. Okay, some of these guys have been driving in the desert for 30 years, so it helps.
I think
having
as
knowledge
well,
around,
with
but like
the specific car groups though, it's useful, because if you come out, like the first time I went out was with an FJ, a Pajero, and a Jimny, right? And for me, I find when I'm driving the Jeep that I usually have to have a little bit more momentum than the FJ.
Yeah,
but you've got a really big Jeep.
Yeah,
it's a long car.
It makes a difference, right? So for me, I'm thinking, it must be the car or my driving or something like this. But if I was to spend time with the Jeep community and go out with some of the Jeep guys, I'd probably find myself at ease driving with them.
That was a big thing when I bought the FJ. I was obviously going out a lot with Andy and his FJ, and he was teaching me a lot about how the car works, what gear ratios. I'd watch him drive to the top of Nacra Dune, and I go, I want to do that. Like, why can't I do that? And then he'd be over the radio to say, well, what you need to do is you need to put it in, low range. You need to go third, and then you're going to shift into fourth when you get about halfway.
Because it is car specific, though.
And the car, it would do exactly as he told me. If as long as I followed what he said, it would work.
Yeah.
And so there is that element of going out with groups that you can learn from other people. But I mean, 90% of the time, it's just a lot of the time. It's actually just learning your car. Yeah. It takes time to learn your car.
But you have to take it to the desert to learn that.
Yeah.
But that's the nice thing. So I joined a really nice club when I was in Abu Dhabi, and they were really
a lot about these guys.
They were really hammering on about etiquette in the beginning, what's safe, what's unsafe. Yeah. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned out of them is never fight gravity, which is a really good tip. Yeah. And secondly, there's no shame in getting stuck. Mm-hmm. There's no shame in having a second, third, fourth try.
Unless you're in the FJ because you haven't deflated. Yeah. There's a lot of shame in that.
There's no pills for stupidity.
Yeah, okay, fine. I own that, but I don't.
Let's call this a nice turning point. Maybe he'll start deflating.
Maybe I won't.
Have a banner at the back saying, deflate Declan.
Get a sticker in the window. Pull the Ventrax Offroad off, but I don't deflate. Hashtag I don't deflate.
No, but I'll tell you one of the other things as well, which is a real, I keep saying issue, it's not an issue, but one of the difficult things to work around with the different car communities here is everyone has a different opinion on something. And that's a really hard thing to work around, because we talk a lot about 4 high, 4 low, and we watch a lot of guys on YouTube, and even some of these huge brands in Australia that I see on Instagram, and they put a reel out about how to drive on the beach, for example. I disagree with what they said, because in my car, it just doesn't work that way.
No.
But
I
also
can't
it's,
drive that way. And
it's
you can't-
area
they don't drive
specific.
it. They
It's
don't
area
drive it.
specific, 100%.
They also
Exactly.
don't drive. Yeah, they don't drive in the
Yeah.
desert too much, so it's a bit different. And so that's where things are different. But it also comes down to the individual person.
Yes.
If the FJ Cruiser was my main car that I was driving to work every day, and I'm heading out into the desert on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and I'm in 4 low, giving it 7,000 revs, trying to get over the top of some of the dunes, there's chances I'm going to break some stuff. I mean, owning a 4x4, the biggest thing I've learned is actually it's an expensive hobby to have because you do break things, and
Especially when it's your work car.
yeah,
Especially
and
when
so
it's for the three of us.
commuter
Yeah,
car.
we
So
then
love
when
being
you're then
outside.
commuting to work in that car on the Monday morning, you know you have to consider that. So that's where you get this big
Car
divide
pulling
between
left on a Monday morning.
yeah. That's
Driving
where
to
you
work
get
with wheel wobble.
But that's where you get this big divide between opinions of the way people drive. Because for me, I drive a lot in 4 high and first and second gear because for me it's putting a lot less strain on my gearbox and a lot less strain on things. Because I do think I've got to get this to work on Monday, and I don't want to break the car. In a sense.
And I don't want it
And
to sit
actually,
for a week at a workshop.
there are windows where I go, oh no, I want to go and drive this now, and I stick it in 4 low, and I go, and I'll
But see, this was the biggest
send
thing
it as
for
much
me.
as I can.
When we
but-
went to Liwa, I've used 4 low a few times in different scenarios when we've been stuck or in the mountains, going downhill, things like
Yeah.
this. But when we went to Liwa, I put it in 4 low, and I just absolutely loved how much easier it was. I appreciate there was moments in 4 low where I thought, okay, I should be in high
Yeah.
right now, and most of the time you're going to be in high most of the time, but
It's when it
sometimes you
opens
want
up
that
into those
easy
flat
drive, yes.
suckers, right? Like
Where
you're
you want to go back into the
you're
into
can't
the
be
higher.
stopping
having
on the
fun
dune
driving
and
through all the
changing
kind of
Exactly.
dunes and stuff. And some of
But
it's
even
quite
coming
steep.
through Al Qudra, I think it was when we got back from Liwa, we came to Al Qudra for I think a desert barbecue, and I thought I'm going to try it in 4 low during this. I had a great time. I had a great time because it was slower, and it was the dunes in Al Qudra are very small, so it was just crawling up the thing.
technical.
It's
I mean,
great.
especially
Very
now,
technical with all the
can't-
greenery.
You can't see in the background at the moment,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the greenery that's come through in Al Qudra is just insane. It's not really a place to come off-roading anymore, in my opinion.
It's perfect
I
for
don't
this,
know
though.
I don't know if it's just skill kind of level has kind of just gone up, so this sort of dunes becomes like it's not as fun because
Potentially.
we're going much faster.
But this is the thing.
But it is a good place to come and learn a bit. But actually, I like to come
Yeah,
out.
but this is the
make
thing
a
with Al Qudra
fire.
though. This is the weird thing with Al Qudra. I feel like the more confident I've got and the more skill I've gained, the less confident I am in Al Qudra.
It's weird. It's a lot of short turns, but
Yes.
especially in the big Jeep.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
a lot of
small
short
little sharp dunes.
Yeah.
I mean, the short
Things
wheelbase
creep up on
Pajero,
you.
it's really nice for me.
Yeah. I mean, you saw how the GMC happened today. I mean, that thing's like a whale driving around the.
Yes, it struggles.
It still struggle
I mean, same with James Sheehan's.
with a Ram.
With the Ram. I mean, I've driven that Ram
That's
here
a boat.
a couple of times, and it literally feels like I'm
It's
driving
a
a boat.
boat, 100%.
I really struggle with it when we're here, and it's something you put up with if you're just coming out for it as a barbecue, but it's not somewhere you come and you go off-roading. However, on that backside,
It depends
towards,
what mods you've got. I mean, when we went out to Al Badayr, the other day, and the guy with the F-150 came with us.
yes,
That's just as big, but he's got a proper setup,
Yes,
and he kept up with
yeah.
us.
yeah,
He was driving along really nicely. So I think it depends what you want out of your car.
yeah,
real quickly,
absolutely.
Jess.
A big thing to think about actually when you're going off-roading is the people that are on the radio. You have to
Yes.
consider their English because it doesn't work that well.
Yep.
You have to consider the people that you're talking to.
They're very thick accents. Doesn't quite come through.
I feel victimized here.
If we're rolling round the dunes, it's rolling round.
Yeah.
It is a struggle, man. But this is the nice thing when you go out with the same guys a lot more often. You come to understand what they mean and what they're on about.
Yeah.
But even on that though, you also learn how they drive. Their
Exactly.
driving styles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for example, when we went out, the same Al Badayr drive, when James who drives the Jimmy came with
Yeah.
us, he was very nervous with the guy getting behind him too close. But that guy drives being close.
Wasn't
That
that,
was
me?
Toby.
It was me. Yeah,
I didn't want to
I
single
was
out.
the guy driving too close behind it.
It's fine. We single friends out. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's
I didn't wanna-
acceptable.
I
We
didn't want
tell
to be
the
rude.
world. We
but-
tell the podcast.
I was driving close for a reason. I have to.
Yeah, sure.
But then once we swapped the convoy around, it was
Yeah,
fine.
no issues,
It's
yeah.
just depending on the skill, or not skill even. It's just driving style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing.
I've definitely lost a bit of convoy etiquette. I think because I've been up front a lot for a long time.
It's because he wants to be in the front.
Always doesn't let anyone else go.
I like being in the front, yes, but I do Like I'll be driving along and I'll look in my rear view, and the guys are there. But then when I then have to follow a convoy and I go into a new group,
You get bored.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And so there are kind of these rules, and that's where Ventrax comes back in. That we're trying to create kind of these little reels and these shorts and these videos to kind of just teach people some of the etiquette of things when it comes to off-roading, especially in the desert, because
it's not just the guy in the front. Because, for example, in a convoy, it's not just the guy in the front that's got a responsibility. No. Second, third, the rest of the convoy, and the guy at the back.
And this is all stuff that we're definitely going to touch on in the future. So,
and none of it's a rule book.
Yeah,
that's the thing. None of it's. It's more like this is our experience. We're all just a bunch of guys that bought some 4-wheel drives, and we like to go driving in the desert, and we wanted to just make sure that we do it the right way for us.
What was the first car you were going to buy, Toby?
What was the first car?
What was the first car you were choosing to buy?
Well, I wanted a Mazda MX-5.
You wanted an FJ Cruiser.
He said, do you know what? I have no
idea. I have
no idea where he gets this from. I've not. This is.
So you're not an FJ guy.
I'm not an FJ guy. I don't want it. I never wanted it.
FJ guys don't wear Vans.
When I first met Toby,
they wear Crocs.
With what are they called? What are the little minions on the front?
Oh, they've got a name, really silly name, haven't they?
Among Us minions or whatever they are. Anyway, when
it's the guys with the one eye.
When I first met Toby, I invited him to come to Liwa with me to do the RDC festival, right? The RDC drive.
Yes.
Not the RDC.
Well,
festival,
we started just driving, drive. And then.
No, I specifically we started playing Call of Duty, and then I was like, "Hey man, do you want to be closer friends, and do you want to come and spend 3 days in the tent with me?"
This is before I knew you.
This is before you came and broke up.
Yeah, you hadn't joined the group yet, and you had to come out with me and practice, because we didn't actually know if you were going to get car sick or something. Like you had to come out and practice, and
he looks like a guy who gets
car it does, right?
Never once. Not even
and the first 3 drives, he was not even remotely interested in the idea of a 4x4. He wanted one. You wanted one.
Yeah.
But you were adamant you were getting a sports car.
Yeah, I still really
you were
want
adamant.
a sports car. I got pressured into this thing.
And the conversation actually when
he pressured you.
Yeah.
Everyone, it wasn't just him, it was the whole group. When you get a 4x4, when you get a 4x4, when you get a 4x4, fine, I'll go get one.
The conversation actually then started to be more, what's the point of a sports car? You can't go fast in Dubai. However, if you get a 4x4, you can go as fast as you want in the desert.
It's that sticker, your car may go fast, but mine can go anywhere. That was Decker's talking sticker.
Yeah. Then you bought a Jeep.
Yes, and I can't do either.
And actually, he started by saying, I'd love an FJ, because they're really nice in the desert.
I never.
And he looked at FJs. He looked at them, and he was sending them to me. And then you went down the route of going into the TJ groups.
Yes.
Because you only wanted to spend like 30, 40k, and you were going to go buy like a TJ.
I did.
And then randomly one afternoon, you come out with this 160k monstrosity.
With all the bells and whistles. Everything.
I just said, I don't care, I'm buying it. And that was that.
Unfortunately, that's always been my attitude toward cars.
The catalogue is optional. You don't need to click all of them.
I've always done this. I've always started going, I remember my first car, I thought, okay, I'm going to go and upgrade to a slightly new, I had a Mini. I was going to upgrade to a slightly newer Mini, right? Ended up coming out the showroom with a brand new John Cooper Works straight off the factory. And I got home and I was like, what the bloody hell have you just done? I don't know. They swindled me. Same with this.
But your reasoning for spending just a little less was that actually, then I can go buy a small sports car. You can go buy your little hairdryer car. Yeah,
you can have 2 cars.
I should have done that. In hindsight,
still, you got to pay for it every year.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's growing room, right?
Exactly.
I'm waiting to convince the wife that we need a sports car next.
You do need.
You don't fit into one.
You have to have a convertible.
Height. I'm talking about height.
He's a convertible, so his head can stick out the
top. But I mean,
you can't put that in there.
Yes, we can.
I enjoyed that car a lot. It was a cool car.
I don't think the car enjoyed you.
No.
It's an awesome car though. A really cool car.
It was a fun car, but it's a drifter's car. It's a car that you go drift around tracks. It's not something.
It's not allowed. Just so everyone knows, not allowed.
No, don't go drifting unless you're on a controlled circuit with professionals.
Did you hear the F1? Did you hear the
Motor City?
Motor City the other day?
The other night. Oh,
I had to close all the windows in the apartment.
I didn't hear it from
even in JVC I heard it. Valentina asked me, what's that?
It's a 24-hour race.
Really? No, I knew it was on. I didn't hear it in Dubai Hills.
It was horrible.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah, it's because I live in Dubai Hills.
And I
they
drive
blocked
a Jeep.
the sound out.
Have like barriers up.
Yeah.
Like a high
Invisible
frequency.
barriers. So you can't see it.
Well, I reckon that is, how long's that? That's got to be 30 minutes of chat.
Yeah, about 20 something, I think.
So now we just need to end it.
Yeah.
So we don't. Okay, this is a good point though, because we don't really know what we want to talk about in these podcasts, which I think is the best thing. I think that's the way to go.
No, we can say like next week's episode we're gonna we've just introduced ourselves a little bit now. Yeah. So next week's episode we're gonna cover a few.
We haven't introduced ourselves really though. We haven't really spoken about our cars or who we are, where we're from.
So I think we can. But I think we can do a podcast next week about the cars.
Yeah, good idea.
So next time you see us, we'll talk a little bit more about who we are,
what we drive.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it a few times. Like clearly, I'm the guy that's in the FJ, you're in the Pajero, and he's in this monstrosity of a Jeep behind us. And I don't know how it got the cut of the shot, but it's just how
everything
it felt.
just works out.
It was kind of facing this way. Is my car even in it?
Not one bit.
No, it's just the Jeep. It's just the Jeep.
Pajero's in it. It looks lovely.
To be fair, we've lost Sunset now, which to be fair we're battling that. But yeah, I mean, next episode we'll touch on who we are a bit more, what cars we're driving, and maybe
why we like.
why we started coming out into the desert, and a bit more about kind of where Ventrax is going with these podcasts and
what we're planning
with the YouTube videos and like what our forward planning is. So you guys can stay tuned and keep following us.
And if it's something that's interesting, you can stay along.
And we're hoping to build a bit of a community around it as well. You know, we're at the moment we're three guys in the middle of the desert on our own. Hopefully, in a year's time, there's 5-6 of us. We can come out here and we can hang out and have a fire and we can break these up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
We're at Ventrax.offroad on Instagram
and TikTok.
And TikTok.
And Facebook.
And Facebook and YouTube.
But YouTube is not, it's just Ventrax Offroad.
Yes.
You should find us there. And be sure to follow us and stay tuned with updates and click that little, what's it called?
The bell.
The little bell. Click the bell.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Over here, we're going to put it over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do the
yeah, we're going to put it over here.
Yeah, there we go.
That's your job to edit.
That's my job. Here we go. And if you don't like the content, just don't bother telling us. We're going to keep doing it.
Actually, if you don't like the content, feel free to comment it loads because it's still traction.
Yeah. Comment. Tell us how much you hate it. Get all your friends to tell us you hate it. It's fine.
Get your family, friends.
But please like.
Yes, please like. We haven't introduced dogs. They're in the background. Yeah. So stay tuned for next episode. We look forward to seeing you.
Yep, speaking to you.
I'm never going to see you actually. So yes.
Well, we might do if we get the community.
Right, let's end it.
Yeah.
See you later. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.